Alright guys, it's time to go over all the system patch changes for Street Fighter V Season 2. We won't be going over characters in this video, and I'm going to assume that this video might be quite long, so be sure to check the video description below for all the timestamps of all the stuff I'm going through. So in the PDF file that Capcom sent us for all the changes, they showed a little bit of the system-wide changes, but not all of them. You really have to look through the notes really thoroughly to check for consistencies, to really see all the universal changes. So I spent a long time doing that, and I put that all into this list. So I'll be noting more things than they actually are listing. So first off, Capcom said that they came to all these buffs and nerfs and stuff, all these conclusions, by keeping a close eye on all the Capcom Pro tournaments, online play, player feedback, and internal testing. So this is the result. They said the goal was to ensure a rich, diverse gameplay experience with each character that both players and spectators can enjoy, unless you play Nash or Mika. But anyways, let's start from the top. Alright, number 1. Meterless invincible moves are nerfed, specifically uppercut specials. This includes 4 characters, Ryu, Ken, Cammy, and Nikali, all characters that had invincible meterless uppercuts. I guess Akuma technically you can count as well if he was in this game before Season 2. So what this means is ground invincibility on these uppercut specials don't happen until frame 3. This means that you can no longer use this as a reversal if you're knocked on the ground and you want to do a wake up uppercut, for example, because if the opponent sticks out an attack as you're getting up, you'll simply just get hit or stuffed outside of your special. This also includes, let's say he knocked you out of the air and you were both coming to the ground at the same time. Usually someone might gamble and just mash out an uppercut. Well, if he sticks out an attack at the same time you do your uppercut, you will most likely lose. It's also important to know that this is only the ground invincibility, doesn't happen until frame 3. The upper body invincibility still happens right away, which means that all these uppercuts are still can be used as anti-airs. They just don't like the idea of you either mashing uppercut during a string or using it as a wake-up uppercut. And like I said, after frame 3, you are still fully invincible, which means that if the opponent's timing is off and he tries to hit you with an attack as you're getting up and he's slightly off by a little bit, you can still technically do a wake-up uppercut. Another thing too is that the EX versions of these uppercuts are still completely fully invincible, so if you want to do a wake-up uppercut, use the EX version and it will work just fine, just like it did in Season 1. Basically what they did is they changed everyone's uppercut into like Guile's flash kick, how it works, how it's upper body invincibility, and then yeah, you can't just use it as a reversal unless it's the EX version. Also, in case you're wondering, you do still get counter hit when you're recovering from this move. If they block it and bait it, you will get crush countered because technically it's still an invincible move after frame 3. Just like Guile's flash kick basically. So summarize, no more wake up DPs. Number 2. Throws are nerfed for most of the cast, more recovery, thrown distance, and lower stun values. So throws will be less important for setups and less important for pressure. This also eliminates many throw loops that were possible with some characters, where you could throw your opponent over and over again as soon as he's recovered from the ground. As soon as he gets up, you can just press a button to time it and throw him exactly when he gets up. So even if he wakes up with a normal attack, you'll throw him again. That doesn't mean that throw loops are completely gone. Some characters have gained throw loops and some characters have maintained throw loops, but they don't want certain characters to have them. In general, when you throw somebody, they will go further away, they'll get up, they'll be able to act before you or before you're able to get to them. And you'll do less stun damage to them. So they're basically just nerfing throws. They're making the game less setup heavy, and also the characters that have weak throws in the first place don't get hurt as hard with the characters that do have good ones, especially like Ryu, for example. Number 3. Hurtboxes on many normal attacks are extended, making them easier to whiff punish and stuff. This means that when you stick out an attack, it's much easier for the opponent to hit you as they recover from this attack. This rewards spacing and reactions. So when you press a button and then your attack sticks out, as it's retracting, as it's coming back, your Hurtbox is further out, which means it's much easier for your opponent to hit you as you're recovering, as your attack is retracting. And it just rewards better neutral game, better footsies. You're rewarded for if your spacing is good, if you stand outside the range of your opponent's attacks, you'll be able to punish him more often if he misjudges his range and just throws it out randomly. Number 4. Many long-range pokes have been nerfed, more minus on block and wider Hurtboxes. This is in conjunction with number 3 pretty much. This means long pokes will be less abusable, where you can now act sooner and in between when blocking or getting hit by them. You have to be more mindful now when using these powerful pokes. So this means when a character like Karen, for example, she uses her really long range standing medium kick on you, when you block it, it's minus, which means when she just walks towards you, she can't just bully you to the corner with this. Every time you block it, it's minus. You'll be able to act sooner, and then you'll be able to backdash, for example, to space yourself out to punish it. You can get in. You're not just stuck far enough that she's able to gain just a little bit of ground on you every time she hits with this. There are many characters with abusable normals like this, and Capcom just doesn't want you, these characters, to completely bully you with long normals. They want it to be more about spacing than the attacks themselves. So if you're a character with long pokes, you can't just press that button over and over again and always stay at the best range, because your opponent gets to move before you do when you hit him or when they block. It's also worth mentioning that Dalsum did not get hit with this, even though he has some of the longest normal attacks in the game, but he's a special case. Number 5. Gray Life now recovers twice as slow. This is the recoverable health when you block attacks. This means that blocking for an extended amount of time will be much more dangerous. This also makes V reversal stronger and armor moves weaker. You can see from the video that you recover super slow, almost to the point where I'd say it's almost impossible if you build up too much to completely recover it before your opponent actually hits you. This helps the person who's on the offense able to cash out that damage that he's worked so hard for, and the person who's defending less rewarding for successfully blocking too much. They really want to make this game more aggressive, and they don't want you to block too much. This really helps characters like Bison, for example, and like I said, it does hurt armor moves, especially characters like Zengi, for example. When he uses his V skill, it's going to really hurt to use that move. We also have Akuma's V skill, which now builds up Gray Life. And armor attacks, a character like Birdie, for example, if you wanted to get some free V gauge, sometimes you go forward hard punch his armor command normal through a fireball just to gain a little bit of V gauge, but now it's a lot more dangerous because of the Gray Life just regenerates so damn slowly. Alright, number 6. Negative edge moves now have an extended buffer window. This means that special moves that require you to hold down a button and release can benefit the same way regular specials do by making them easier to time when doing reversals. So this means a really great example is a character like Birdie, his bullhorn. You hold down a button. When you're about to get up off the ground to get that reversal timing, you have to be really precise. Especially on the EX bullhorn, where you have to hold down 2 buttons to get that reversal window, because it's an armor 1 move. I think in V-Trigger, if you release it, it was really hard to get that reversal timing because you have to be really precise with it. Whereas any special moves or DPs or anything, you can literally just mash it out. The window for it is so huge that your timing can be off and you'll still get the reversal window. But now they're just making it so that moves where you have to hold down, like Balrog's turnaround punch, all that benefits the same way. It's just like input leniency to help these characters up to par with the other specials in the game. Number 7. Shorten the inactive frames on input confirmed from 12 frames to 6 frames after the last key for a charge attack has been input. A lot of people were asking questions about this one. This is a confusing one. This pretty much means that the input buffer for charge moves are shorter, making it harder to do specific combos. It's basically when you're... it's really hard to explain. But a character like, for example, Urian, when he does standing light punch into headbutt, for example, would be a little harder. Or if you're blocking an attack, and then sometimes you would accidentally do a charge move when you press forward in an attack because your charge is still stored. They're making this charge time lower so you don't accidentally do these moves, and at the same time it makes it harder to do certain things where you're canceling a standing attack, for example, into a charge move. Another example would be like Alex, standing medium punch into head crush. You have to charge down, stand for a second, hit medium punch, and quickly hit a punch. The window will be smaller for this. Chun-Li also has a combo where she goes standing medium punch, crouching medium kick into spinning bird kick. Guile, for example, can go standing light kick into flash kick, standing light punch into flash kick. All these will be slightly harder, but they're still, you can still do them. They're not that hard to do. It's just harder. but I think this was intended in the game to make it so you don't actually do charge moves when you don't intend to. That's pretty much what it was put in the game for. Alright, number 8. Most projectile specials build much less meter on whiff and more on hit or block. This one is pretty straightforward, a small nerf to zoning. This also means when both players are trading fireballs, it also gives much less meter overall to both characters because it doesn't count as hit or block when fireballs collide. In fact, if you're just whiffing fireballs and your opponent is just neutral jumping, then you'll gain pretty much almost no meter at all. Like, you'd have to throw 30 fireballs to even like get half of 1 bar. It's really, really low. It's a pretty big change. They did some of this on other things, like some command throws I've read in the notes as well. But in general, it just kind of hurts zoning a little bit. And yeah, abusing and not, it's just trying to make the game more aggressive and not you getting insane amounts of meter while pressuring your opponent so hard in the first place, so safely. Number 9, V reversals start up slightly slower. Knockdown V reversals knock back further. This means it'll be easier to bait V reversals and punish them with throws, for example, or punish them by doing like a light punch and then neutral jumping, because they come out so slowly, you'll be able to punish your opponent easier. But when your V reversal does hit, it'll knock your opponent much further away, and it'll be harder to do setups afterwards. This is kind of a nerf, kind of a buff to V reversals, depending on how you look at it. Basically, it means that if you want to bait it, if you know it's coming, this is more rewarding because it's easier to bait because they're slower, so you can punish them. But at the same time, if you use V reversals properly, you'll be rewarded because you'll push the opponent further away, taking away pressure. However, there were some characters, like Armika, for example. She had the best V reversal in Season 1, where you get a setup afterwards, where it would be in your favor. You'd be so close, you can follow up with something. So it is a nerf to some characters, if you look at it that way. So, like I said, it's just a change to V reversals to make them more proper on how they're supposed to be used, like I said. Alright, number 10. Light anti-airs nerfed. Larger Hurtboxes. Or the Hurtboxes are more in line with the hitboxes. This is self-explanatory. Using light attacks as anti-airs won't work nearly as well as Chun-Li's standing light kick, for example, Ryu's standing light punch. It's also worth noting that many normal anti-airs for many characters have been buffed in some shape or form to compensate for this. Even if you were successful in doing a standing light anti-air, like, you can still do them. It's just the Hurtboxes are not as good anymore. It's not as effective anymore. But if you were successful in doing them, the opponent gets knocked a lot further away, meaning that it's harder to dash under your opponent after you do an anti-air light in the first place. So it takes up some mix-ups there. So they're just hitting the anti-air lights on both sides, on the mix-up potential and on the priority on both ends. But like I said, they were still in the game. They still work slightly. It's just that if your opponent's spacing is right and he's got the right jumping attack, it will definitely beat your light attacks straight out. And like I said, they've given a lot more combo potential to a lot of characters' anti-airs. They made some anti-air normal attacks faster, the harder strength ones, Alex's crouching hard punch, for example, etc., just to compensate. Capcom just wants people to have a unique use for every normal attack, and they don't want lights to be your fast attack and your anti-airs, right? They don't want your uppercuts to be reversal attacks and anti-airs. You know, they're trying to make everything very unique and distinct. Number 11, air throw Hurtboxes extended downwards. In some cases, players were using air throws to shrink their Hurtboxes when jumping in, and this changes that. This is pretty rare. You don't see it too much in matches, but it does happen where you'll knock your opponent down, you'll jump in, and then you'll just press your throw in the air, and then all of a sudden it's a lot harder for your opponent to anti-air you just because your Hurtbox shrinks. It's really weird, but it's gone. Number 12. Damage nerfed on many attacks, including critical arts, for the majority of the cast. So it's just a universal damage nerf to a lot of characters. This greatly benefits characters that had low damage output to begin with, like Rashid, for example, and also it makes higher health characters more resistant. You'll notice that the health values for a lot of characters are strange now. We got like 875 or 1025. It's just very small increments because they lowered the damage overall to make these health values like more potent. So yeah, they are basically just making it so that you don't get mixed up twice and you get blown up for it. And it really helps the weaker characters that have lower damage output, like Jury or Rashid, for example. Number 13. Health changes to some of the cast. So I'll list the characters that had health changes in this patch for Season 2. Birdie got nerfed 1050 health to 1025 health. He went down 25. Dhalsim got buffed 900 health to 925. He went up by 25. Ibuki got buffed 900 HP to 950. This is way up. She got the highest health buff in Season 2 with 50 rather than 25. Balrog got buffed 1000 health to 1025. And Urien got buffed 1000 health to 1025. So like I said, with the universal damage nerf to a lot of things in this game, that 25 does actually make a difference to these characters. Especially Buki with 950 health, so now she can use her V-trigger before she dies. Yeah. Anyways, number 14. V-gauge built for most V-skills have been increased in various ways. So many characters either got a straight up gain on their V-gauge for using their V-skills, or a change that makes it easier and more consistent to use it. Some examples is Chun-Li now. When she uses her V-skill, she doesn't actually have to hit you with that jumping attack that she does. Now, any attack that she does before she hits the ground now builds a V-gauge as well. So you can use her V-gauge, her V-skill, and then hit you with a jumping hard punch with it, and then you'll get two little increments for each hit of the hard punch. Or you can gain a whole bunch of V-gauge if you hit them with the V-skill and you go stomp, stomp, stomp into EX lightning legs in the air. All of that gives V-gauge. Really, really cool. Alex's V-skill, where he just winds up his arm and then you have to hope you get a crush counter. Now if you wind up his arm, he'll just simply get V-gauge just for doing that entire animation. Nash now has target combos that lead into his V-skill, so you don't have to worry about opponents if they don't have projectiles. Like I said, this is across the board, just making sure that the V-skills are getting V-gauge like they're intended to. Number 15, moved position that animation begins after taking damage or canceling attack forward. This is like, I'm saying this word for word on what it says in the documents, but anyways, what this means is makes combos more consistent so that everything works. The characters don't change positions on the first frame. There are some very, very rare examples in this game where sometimes you would hit your opponent with a counter hit light, and then all of a sudden your normal bread and butter combo doesn't work anymore because they reel back too far. It's not that the reel is gone, it's that their position doesn't change. Basically, it just makes it so all combos are consistent around the game. They're making sure everything's really consistent so that when you have rare circumstances where you get counter hits and stuff, the character doesn't move out of range of your attacks. It's that quality of life change, basically. Number 16. Adjusted Hurtbox when changing direction while crouching. This is on a lot of characters, but not all of them. Basically, it makes cross-ups more consistent on opponents when they're crouching. When an opponent was crouching and you cross them up, they would shift and change directions. During this time, it made their Hurtboxes all wonky, and sometimes their cross-up attacks would actually whiff when they're not intended to. So this is basically in conjunction with number 15. They're just trying to make things more consistent and not weird, where certain things happen in certain situations, basically. So yeah, guys, that's it. That is all the universal changes to Street Fighter V on a system-wide level. And then we have the patch notes for the characters, which I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to put that in video format. But this should be good enough for now, guys, so you have an idea of what kind of direction Street Fighter V is heading to. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about any of these changes, be sure to leave me a comment below. And till then, guys, until I get these character patch notes ready to go, I'll see you next time. Take care.